She's always been average, Mom said, passing the mashed potatoes. But she's dependable. Like an old dishwasher. Laughter at the table. Even my brother, Ben, smirked, like it was harmless, like I hadn't just been called an appliance in my own childhood home.
Hi.
I'm Ava Callahan, 33, software architect, painfully single, and yes, quiet. The kind of quiet people mistake for weakness, for forgettability, for less than. My brother? Ben's the opposite.
Loud.
Athletic. Golden boy since birth. Every school trophy, every scraped knee, every business failure. He got praise, he got sympathy, he got second chances. I got asked to help clean up. Mom always told me, "You're not built for the spotlight. You're the support system." What she didn't know was that while Ben was bouncing between startups and Dad was quietly funding each flop, I was building something. 12 years in silence. One company. Sold 3 months ago. For $32 million. And I didn't tell them. Not out of spite. But because I needed to know who they were without the dollar signs. Thanksgiving was the first time we'd all been in a room together since the sale. And Ben? He found out halfway, through dinner. He was reaching for the gravy boat when his wife said it, casually, like it was old news. Well, Ava can afford to host next year. Can't she? What was it again? 30-something million? The fork clattered from his hand. My mother went pale. And my father? He didn't even blink. Because he already knew. The silence hit harder than Ben's reaction. He stared at me like I'd stolen something. 32 million, he repeated, voice low. You have $32 million? I didn't answer right away. I cut my turkey.
Chewed.
Swallowed. Then, 32.4, actually. After taxes. My mom gasped, like I'd just confessed to murder. Ava, how could you not tell us? Tell you, I said, setting my fork down. Mom, you still introduce me as Ben's little sister, even at my alumni events.
Ben scoffed.
You're lying. There's no way you made that kind of money. I didn't make it, I said calmly. I built it. Then I sold it. His knuckles whitened around his napkin. My father cleared his throat. I've known since July, he said. She asked me to keep it quiet, and I respected that. Mom turned on him. You knew and didn't tell me? Dad looked tired. Because you'd make it about you, like you're doing now. Ben stood up so fast his chair screeched across the floor. You always play the victim, he snapped at me. This whole quiet genius act. I stood too. Not angry.
Just done.
I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you loved me broke, I said. Turns out you didn't even notice me. He pointed across the table. You think money makes you better? No, I said. But it sure makes walking away easier. Then I picked up my coat and left my own Thanksgiving dinner before dessert. I sat in my car outside the house for 10 minutes before driving off. No tears. No shaking. Just a stillness that felt earned. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was begging for a seat at their table. Because I had my own now, custom-built, paid in full, and standing on something they'd never seen in me. Worth. Ben texted first. You blindsided us. That was messed up. Then Mom. We need to talk. I think you're letting this money thing change you. Change me? I thought about the time she skipped my college graduation for Ben's golf tournament. The way she introduced him as my successful son, and me as the sweet one who works with computers or something. Money didn't change me. It revealed her. I didn't respond. That night, I got a call from Dad. No lecture. No guilt. Just, you okay? Yeah, I said. I'm proud of you, Ava. Always have been. Silence sat between us. Not awkward, earned. Then he added, you know they're going to come back around. Especially now. I know. And I looked out the window at my city skyline, glittering like it had been waiting for me to finally see it. They can come back, I said. But they won't find the version of me they used to step over. He chuckled. Good. Then, softer. Welcome to your own life, kiddo. That night, I slept better than I had in years. Because finally I was seen. 3 days later, Mom showed up at my apartment. Unannounced. No warning. Just buzzed in like it was still her name on my lease, which it never was. I opened the door, and there she stood, holding a Tupperware container like we were still in the homemade peace offering phase of our relationship. "I brought the pumpkin pie you missed," she said with a tight smile. "I didn't miss it," I replied. "I left before dessert." Big difference. She stepped inside anyway. "I just think we need to clear the air," she said, placing the pie on my counter like that erased years of quiet favoritism. I leaned back against the kitchen island. "Okay, so clear it." She blinked. "What you did at dinner, it humiliated your brother." "No," I said, voice calm. "He humiliated himself. I just sat there." "You embarrassed the family." "No," I said again. "You ignored me for 33 years. I just finally gave you a reason to see me." She crossed her arms. "You've always been so dramatic." I almost laughed, but instead I walked over, opened the door, and held it for her. "Take your pie, Mom." She didn't move. "I know you think Ben's your legacy," I added, "but I'm the one who built something from nothing. And you missed it because I didn't shout loud enough for you." She picked up the pie, quiet now. "This isn't over," she said. I smiled. "I know. But for once, it's not up to you how it ends." The story hit the local business journal a week later. Ava Callahan, the quiet powerhouse behind one of tech's smartest exits. They used the photo for my first investor pitch. Hair back, blazer too big, eyes nervous but steady. I didn't ask for the feature, but I didn't decline it either. Ben called that night. "No, hi." "No, how are you?" Just, "You're seriously letting the world think you're some kind of genius now." I didn't rise to it. "I didn't write the article, Ben. You let Dad co-sign it." I paused. "You mean he told the truth?"
Sorry.
That must have been jarring. His voice dropped. "You really think this money makes you untouchable?" "No," I said. "It makes me uninterested in performing for people who only clap when my name has a dollar sign attached." He went silent. Then, "You're still the same girl who cried when you didn't get picked for debate club. And you're still the boy Mom called her miracle after you got arrested for that bar fight and she blamed the bouncer." Silence again. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I thought of Emery, my goddaughter, Ben's kid. The one he barely parents. I'd already started a trust for her. Quietly. Privately. Because she deserved a future built on freedom, not favoritism. "Tell Mom she can stop spinning," I added. "I'm not trying to embarrass anyone. I'm just not hiding anymore." Then I hung up and turned the page. By mid-December, I was being invited to panels. Women in tech breakfasts. Founders' firesides. Quiet DMs from old classmates who never spoke to me in college suddenly asking to grab coffee sometime. I said no to most of it. Because I didn't build this life to perform, I built it to breathe. Then one morning I got an email from my alma mater. Subject: Commencement Speaker Invitation, Spring Ceremony. Message: "We'd be honored to have you address this year's graduating class. Your story has become an inspiration." I stared at the screen for a long time. The same school where Mom forgot to show up to my scholarship dinner. The same stage where Ben once gave a speech for placing third in regionals, while I, valedictorian, got a rushed handshake and a faded bouquet. I accepted. Quietly. The same week, Dad called again. "She's spiraling," he said. "Your mother keeps saying you're trying to erase Ben." "I'm not," I said. "I'm just no longer dimming myself to keep him comfortable." Dad was silent, then said, "He read your trust paperwork. For Emery." I sat up straighter.
"How?"
He was stunned. "He didn't know you cared." I smiled softly. "That's because he never looked past the surface." "And now?" "Now," I said, "he's seeing what I look like in daylight." Dad chuckled. "You've always had your mother's fire. She just never expected to get burned by it." Maybe not. But this time, the flame had a name. And that name was mine. Christmas dinner was smaller that year. Ben didn't come. Claimed he had other plans, though I knew he just couldn't handle not being the center of gravity anymore. Mom set the table like everything was normal, silverware polished, wine labels turned just right, napkins folded into impossible shapes. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. She passed me the breadbasket like I hadn't rewritten my entire life in the span of 6 months. "So," she said, voice clipped, "what's next for you, now that you're successful?" It wasn't curiosity. It was control disguised as conversation. I took a sip of wine. "Actually, I'm starting a mentorship fund for girls in underfunded districts who want to build in tech but have zero access." Mom blinked. "You're giving it away?" "I'm investing it," I corrected. "In someone who looks like I used to." Dad smiled behind his glass. "She's building something with real weight." Mom's jaw clenched. "And what about Ben? You know he's struggling. You could help." "I already have," I said. "But help only matters when someone wants to grow, not when they expect to be rescued." The room went still. For once, she didn't have a response. After dinner, I handed her a small gift. Inside was a framed photo, me on the cover of the business journal. "I thought you might want a copy." She held it like it was radioactive. I leaned in and whispered, "You always wanted me to make you proud. You just never thought I'd do it without your permission." Spring came with a letter from Ben. Not an email, not a text. A real letter. Creased, handwritten, barely a full page. Asterisk, "I didn't know how invisible you felt growing up. I guess I didn't have to. I always thought you'd be there. That I was the story and you were the background. Now I see you were building something the whole time. And maybe that's why I was angry. Because you did it without needing anyone, especially me." Asterisk, "I won't ask for anything. But I hope one day, Emery will know who really showed up for her." I folded the letter gently and placed it in the same drawer where I kept the trust paperwork. Not for me. For her. Because one day she'll ask why her Aunt Ava made sure she never had a shrink to be accepted. And I'll tell her that sometimes the quiet one is the one you should have listened to all along. That sometimes distance is not punishment, it's protection. And that blood might make you related, but choice? Choice makes you family. My mentorship program launched that summer. First cohort, 15 girls. First session, I walked in, not as someone's forgotten daughter or someone's shadowed sister, but as someone who claimed her own name. No spotlight needed, just purpose. And when the applause came at the end of my speech, I smiled. Not for validation, but because this life, this peace, it wasn't inherited. It was earned.